Hi, I'm Richie and I DJ and produce under the name Dirty Secretz, and I'm going to be showing you how to make main room house. Now this is the kind of main room house that's made by artists like Roger Sanchez, Prok and Fitch, Mike Vale, and some of the artists on Tool Room Records. It's that kind of big room, kind of tech house, main room kind of groovy house kind of feel. And that's what we're going to be making in these videos. Now this is a track right from scratch. There's no pre-prepared stuff here. I'm going to show you how to come up with like a hook or a vocal or something to start the track off with, then build drums around that, adding the kick, adding your bass, and actually creating a bass patch from scratch. I'm also then going to be going into adding stab sounds for it, adding a pad sounds, and then all the effects that you need to kind of finish it off, and all the tweaks that you do to kind of finish the track off just nicely. This video has actually been recorded last, so the track that you're seeing on screen now, this is the actual finished track that was actually made during the video. So what you hear next is going to be exactly what you're going to be making in the next few videos.
underground, overground, underground, overground, underground, overground, underground, overground, underground, overground, underground, overground, underground, overground.